Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining the session. The session is called Monitor and Optimize Fabric Operations and Jobs. Real quickly, special thanks to Microsoft and Red Hat for the incredible summit. Lots of exciting lineups of sessions for you to look into. Um, Real quickly, for this session specifically, we're going to focus on monitoring. So, right, when you're starting to adopt Fabric and starting to use Fabric across your organization, monitoring is a key topic that you want to understand what tools are available in Fabric, what you can leverage to be able to effectively gain understanding of your Fabric operations and jobs. Right. So, in terms of agenda today for the 45 minute of session, I want to start with framing the monitoring scenarios in Fabric. A lot of times, based on where you're coming from, as an admin, a tenant admin or a capacity admin, as a PI developer or as a project owner, based on your view uh, of things in Fabric, your requirements for monitoring differs, right? So we want to cover a bit on what that scenarios look like in terms of different personas and different users, what they need. So those are the monitoring scenarios that I'll cover, and then each of those monitoring scenarios have some existing Fabric tools in product tools that are already available for you to be able to access and be able to understand and monitor your Fabric operations. Right. So will cover some of those existing monitoring tools. I'll give a very ringside view for what those tools are. How are we thinking about expanding the feature set for those tools, as well as some new tools that we are actually working on, leveraging some of the feedback we have heard from Power BI World to now in Fabric. What do we need in terms of taking the next steps towards evolving the monitoring experiences in Fabric? So the monitoring tools, I will focus very quickly on that. I do want to focus or deep dive a bit with demos on four key monitoring tools, right? So one is Admin Monitoring Workspace, Fabric Events in Real-Time Hub, Monitoring Hub, and Workspace Monitoring. All of these to some extent is already available in public preview or in GA in different states currently that you can use and test drive yourself. But the intent here is I want to showcase how are we seeing what scenarios these tools address and what is the potential roadmap for some of these tools coming along. If that sounds all okay, let's get started with the overall framing for monitoring scenarios. But wait, so before I go there, I also want to give a quick introduction. My name is Varun Jain. I'm a senior PM manager as part of the Fabric platform team. I'm a product lead for monitoring in Fabric, but my team also owns and drives a lot of monitoring features around workspace monitoring, admin related areas like APIs, admin portal, or usage metrics. I'm a recovering strategy consultant. So I was a consultant in my previous life before I joined Microsoft back in 2021. I'm based in Seattle, Washington, with my wife and my two kids. So that's a little bit about me. Now let's get started to the topic of the session today. So, in terms of the monitoring scenarios in Fabric, the way we really look at monitoring experiences in Fabric is across these four pillars, right? As you move from left to right, you move from a tenant admin scenario to more of a developer scenario. So, your scope for what you want to look at moves away from at the tenant level, so across workspaces, across capacity, to now at the item level where you are actively authoring a warehouse or actively authoring a notebook and you want to monitor those notebooks, right? So, those are the four pillars. The first one is more focused on adoption governance. As I said, it's more tenant admin scenario where you want to look into user activities, inventory metadata. You want to look at what your users are doing, how your reports or how your assets are being adopted, so that from a center of excellence perspective or from a tenant governance perspective, you can take actions on it. Right? Actions could be you're driving endorsement for some of those most used assets, or you are taking actions on sensitivity labels and how they're applied through Purview Hub. A lot of those governance and adoption related scenarios are what buckets under the first pillar. The second is capacity metrics, which is consumption and resource utilization. So, as you're paying for Fabric capacity, you want to monitor how your capacities are performing. You want to manage your capacity by understanding utilization, by understanding throttling states, by understanding which operation are consuming the most resources. So, there's a bunch of tools that's available as part of our offering for capacity monitoring, but that's the second pillar. So it's more focused around what a capacity owner that you bought a Fabric capacity, what a capacity owner would be interested in knowing and monitoring for you to be able to better respond to your end user needs and manage and load balance your capacities better. So that's the second pillar. The third is activity and jobs monitoring. This is more focused on as a workspace owner or as a project owner, you need a single tracker view for all of your scheduled jobs in operation that you may have running on Fabric. Data pipelines, data flows, semantic model refreshes, notebook runs, all of those, you do need a way in which you can quickly understand which of those have failed and quickly click through into some of those items or runs that have failed and take remedial actions on top of it. So that's the third pillar. The fourth is health diagnostics and troubleshooting. So it's more of a catch all bucket for everything that you need right to the granular level in terms of the specific SQL query or tax query that ran, the information that you need to effectively understand what query was suboptimal or which query led to a data downtime or who was it that ran that query that led to impact on your system and impact on your capacity, right? A lot more to it, but the idea here is that you need to be able to get down to the operation level logs for you to understand what's happening and take troubleshooting actions or debugging actions on top of it. So that's kind of nutshell the scenarios through which we look at monitoring experiences. Each of these scenarios have some tools baked as part of what we offer within Fabric as a product. Right now, in the next section, I want to go through some of those tools and how we are looking at solving some of the monitoring requirements and challenges that you face in Fabric. Before I go there, one quick note as well in terms of overall categories or buckets of how you should approach thinking about how you want to set up monitoring in your organization as well. The way we look at it from a product team perspective is twofold. One is the cross workload monitoring, where regardless of which workload you own or drive, if you're a BI developer, maybe Power BI, if you're a SQL developer, maybe warehouse, regardless of the workload interest that you're coming in from, we offer some consistent monitoring experiences across the Fabric workloads. So that's kind of the power of Fabric, where regardless of which workload that you have more familiarity with, we offer some consistent experience in terms of how you can access logs, how you can access audit activities, how you can access the job performance, etc., in a very consistent and unified way. That's the cross workload monitoring, the first bucket here. The second is more in item monitoring, where as a SQL developer, you are more interested in the warehouse that you want to monitor and understand the queries that are getting impacted, etc. Right? So a lot of those are targeted within a particular item, within, let's say, a Spark notebook or within a particular warehouse or SQL. Within that item, you will see a lot more information on monitoring for understanding health, understanding query consumption, query duration, etc., that are more tied to the specific need that a SQL developer may have, which can vary very materially from what a BI developer may need. Right. So that's kind of the in-item monitoring. Those are the two buckets through which we are looking to expose new capabilities for helping you address your monitoring requirements in Fabric. So now going back to the first pillar, right, adoption and governance. The core offering I want to focus on is admin monitoring workspace, which is a dedicated workspace that gets created in your tenant and that a tenant admin can initialize for you to get out of the box insights into user activities, tenant inventory, data governance, a lot of tenant admin scenarios or capacity admin scenarios that you would want to be interested in as an admin. The primary user for this workspace or system workspace, I would call it, is Fabric admins, right? So it's basically initialized by tenant admins. It has the purview or it has the scope for across the tenant view, as opposed to what a developer or a workspace owner might be interested in. But we are also working towards making sure that based on depending on where you're coming from, if a workspace owner is also interested in, for example, audit activities, user activities, most used, least used reports, or who has access to what, they should also be able to access this workspace and get more information around the assets that they own. So with the permissions attached, with RLS, etc., to be able to only look at those assets. That's something in our roadmap, but we are currently focused more on sort of serving the admin scenarios through the admin monitoring workspace. So quickly here, right, at a very high level nutshell, it's a dedicated workspace that gets created It sits on a Pro Workspace license, but you can always attach a capacity to it if you want. There will be out-of-the-box insights and underlying semantic models. A bunch of these reports are already available. I'll cover a few in a demo shortly. And then we'll continue to add more reports into this workspace, just injecting that into your workspace without you needing to take any action to be able to access those. And these would be the common patterns around insights and visualizations that we feel are important for you as an admin to be aware of. And without building any solution of your own, you can derive those assets out of the box in Fabric. So quickly here, the how you initialize the admin monitoring workspace. In the interest of time, I'll skip that. But essentially, a tenant admin is able to initialize it. And the moment you do, there's nothing else that you need to do other than just navigating to the workspace and accessing these reports out of the box.
If you're looking
Uh, there are a couple of new reports that we're working on. Content sharing is a new report that is in private preview today. I'll share a quick demo and then also jump on another exciting new report that we're working on called Usage Insights.
The content sharing report helps admins see how Fabric items are shared in the organization. The inventory overview page shows all content and data assets across capacities or workspaces. You can also see all domains. With sensitivity and endorsement labels, you can quickly find potential content oversharing. For example, if your company does not allow highly confidential items to be shared with the entire organization, this report can help you identify any issues. Hovering over visuals or getting to the help page provides detailed in-product help content to assist you in getting the most benefit from the included data and visualizations. You can get many more richer views through the analysis page or by connecting to the data model.
All right, so that was content sharing.
The content sharing report.
Next is Usage Insights report. A quick demo here.
The Usage Insights report shows how reports and pages are used in your Fabric tenant. The Report Views page provides an overview into which workspaces are the most active, what is the most popular content, how are reports usually viewed and shared, and which users are viewing the most reports. The Performance pages shows time series across reports, while the Details page lists usage across a predefined set of attributes. If needed, you can export the table.
All right, so that was Admin Monitoring Workspace. As I said, a bunch of reports, feature usage and adoption report in Purview Hub is already available. Content sharing and usage insights is coming soon. In fact, we have some of these in private preview. But as we go along, our plan is to increasingly add more insights for admins and non-admins as well into this workspace without you having to configure anything to be able to uncover these insights. Now let's jump on to the uh, monitoring capacities, right? So that's the second pillar. Monitoring capacities, you can do it today across two aspects, right? Two tools that are available. Fabric Capacity Metrics app, I'm assuming a lot of you are familiar with the Metrics app, is the table stakes tool that you use to be able to understand your Fabric capacities. So a lot of rich insights baked into understanding your capacity utilization, resource usage trends, and impact on capacity due to throttling, etc. Right? There's also active work happening in this end towards enabling more cross capacity insights, chargeback information. All of those new reports are coming up in the next few months that we will deliver for you to be able to gather additional insights into resource usage trends. Right, but what I want to focus on today is a new exciting area that we are working on actively, and it's going to come soon. It's not available yet, but if you're familiar with Real Time Hub, it's the streaming platform in Fabric where you can subscribe to events published by Azure, Microsoft, or outside of Microsoft resources and be able to create subscriptions via event stream or data activator alerts. A key part of Fabric Real Time Hub is also Fabric Events, where The Fabric as a system is publishing system events that you as a user is able to subscribe and create your own pipeline and create your own path to storing it for analytical needs or creating data activator alerts on top of it. So within this medium, we are surfacing a number of monitoring data. The jobs data are one that I'll cover in the next session, but also OneLake events, which is more focused on file folder updates, etc., and the capacity utilization event. So the capacity utilization event will effectively surface the raw capacity or consumption events that powers the metrics app today, but it gives you that raw data for now being ability to customize the monitoring needs based on your requirements. For instance, if you want to use this data to understand at the workspace level what the usage is and be able to build your own organizational information into it, you can now do that versus extracting the data from a metrics app using Simile or some other means with which you need to create your own solution. So we are looking to leverage the best capabilities of Fabric, which is the real-time hub, and the ability for you as a user to use Event Stream to pipe it to a system in Fabric and start building your own monitoring requirements on top of it. So let me start with a quick demo for what that would look like for capacity utilization events.
Capacity utilization events in Real-Time Hub enables Fabric users to access raw consumption events from their Fabric operations and capacity changes. This helps unlock capacity monitoring and performance tuning solutions that customers can build for their custom scenarios. Customers can navigate to the Real-Time Hub portal on Fabric and access Fabric Events tab to browse and discover this system-published event. They can easily create event streams and build data activator alerts for the event from this experience. 4 event types are available, each with defined schemas and rich data property bag to provide visibility on Fabric capacity operations for capacity admins. Subscribing to these events is easy. Just create an event stream and select the events you need. You can filter for a specific capacity and add additional filters to limit noise from these events. Once the event stream is created, customers can use these events to monitor CU consumption at the operation level, track capacity health and utilization with a summary table, or changes in capacity status across pause resume, or throttling policy changes. Users can easily add a destination, example an event house, to this event stream and publish the event house for queries, storage, and building reporting solutions on top of this data. This event house can be queried for understanding patterns in CU usage, details by background and interactive utilization, and build Kusto functions, query sets, or reporting that can be shared with non-admins for acting on insights such as performance tuning, query optimization, job scheduling, and other observability needs. Finally, instead of an event house, event stream connectors can also help push events to a lakehouse, data activator, or external systems.
So now that we covered adoption and governance and capacity monitoring, the third pillar is monitoring Fabric jobs, right? So the tool available within Fabric today is Monitoring Hub. So Monitoring Hub is a very intuitive tool, a UX available within Fabric. Through a single click, you can navigate to this index or tracker view for you to be able to access a lot of rich information around your scheduled jobs, right? So scheduled jobs and activities in current workspace, you can filter by workspace or by artifact, you can filter by status, it's if it's succeeded, failed, or it's running, etc. And you can even trigger actions on top of it, like restarting a pipeline refresh or pausing or blocking or a pipeline refresh or a semantic model refresh. So there's some actionability built in, but also the ability for you to drill down further into a specific run, look at some historical runs, and understand if a particular run is taking longer, why it did so. Right. So it gives you a very intuitive way for you to be able to access all of this information across workspaces in a single tracker view. Let's look at a quick demo for what Monitoring Hub entails.
Monitoring Hub is a centralized job monitoring center in Fabric, from where you can find almost all the running jobs across all the workspaces from different submitters. To narrow down what I'm looking at, I can utilize filters such as job status, artifact type, submitters, and workspaces. Once I found a job of interest, I can click on the job name to go to the L2 page for more granular information. For some particular occasions, such as when the job fails due to capacity throttle, I can also restart the job directly from the monitoring hub so that I don't need to navigate to these items again. To summarize, Monitor is a tool that makes life easier for developers on job monitoring and management.
So that's a quick overview for Monitoring Hub. There's a lot more details baked into the capability that you can look into. It's already available, and the team is actively working on making enhancements in terms of additional metadata that you need and additional actions that you can drive on top of it. Right. So that's kind of Monitoring
Monitoring.
Hub. Next, let's jump into diagnostics and troubleshooting. Right, so that's the final pillar of monitoring scenarios, and there's a bunch of tools already available for diagnostics and troubleshooting. For instance, if you're coming from Power BI world, tools like SQL endpoints or tools like SQL traces or performance analyzers, DAX Studio, etc., are all available for you to be able to monitor your DAX query performance, be able to troubleshoot the performance specific visuals, etc., and understand what actions you need to take. Right now, what I want to focus on in the session today is a new offering called Workspace Monitoring that makes it easy for you to be able to access some of those granular logs easily from within your Fabric workspace. So what effectively this capability is it gives you a very single click ability to create a monitoring database within your Fabric workspace. The moment you create the monitoring database, the system starts ingesting logs from your workloads in that workspace and starts pushing it in the form of tables that you can start querying easily from within that database. Right. So the system takes care of pulling it from each of the workloads. It could be semantic models, Power BI, or Event House, or GraphQL, or more workloads will come. It starts ingesting that through a monitoring event stream into a Kusto Event House, KQL database event house, that you can use to start querying that data to understand what's happening, build your own Power BI reports or real-time dashboard reports on top of it, and leverage the best powers of a Kusto database to be able to understand anomaly detection, modeling, etc., that you can do easily on top of this data. So step one that we are trying to get to is make this data as easily accessible for you within your Fabric environment. And we only support 4 workloads today. The plan is to support all Fabric workloads as we incrementally work with the workload teams to onboard to this capability. And it provides a very consistent way, regardless of whether you want to monitor semantic model or event house or Spark notebook, you should be able to jump to the same database and start querying. And the real power will also come in as you also start correlating these logs across the Fabric items as well. So we completely understand that your data project spans across different items. Analytical project can span across landing the data in one lake, using Lakehouse, and then building a Power BI report through Direct Lake on top of it, right? So it could be multiple artifacts. The power with Workspace Monitoring is we want to provide you a way in which you can access the logs for each of those workloads easily from within that single database. Right. So that's kind of the overall vision for Workspace Monitoring. It's a read-only Kusto database, and we use Kusto because Kusto is kind of a powerful tool purpose-built for telemetry analysis and log analysis. In fact, the whole of Microsoft uses Kusto engine as the backend engine, and even Azure Monitor backend engine is Kusto on the backend as well. Right. So that's why we chose Kusto to be the tool that we want to use and what we want you to use to be able to look into the logs and start building your own analysis on top of it. So you can query with SQL, KQL. You can also use T-SQL to query it. We are also working on making this data available in OneLake in the future. So if KQL is not your forte, you can use SQL endpoints, SQL engines to be able to query. That's something that's coming actively. But you can also use KQL queries to build real-time dashboards or Power BI reporting on top of it. So let's get started with a quick demo for what this capability is.
Fabric Workspace Monitoring enables easy access to detailed diagnostic logs, and performance metrics information across the various Fabric items from within your workspace. All it takes is a single click from the workspace settings to kickstart the process for the creation of a read-only monitoring event house that begins ingesting the logs and metrics information from your Fabric items, such as Analysis Services Engine, Real-Time Intelligence, etc. You can always pause logging if you do not longer need it. Navigate to the monitoring database directly or permanently delete monitoring database from the workspace settings. Once enabled for your workspace, you can quickly navigate to the monitoring database where you'll be able to see logs from Fabric workloads in the form of Kusto tables that can be queried using the powerful KQL language for time series analysis, anomaly detection, and performance tuning. You can query, for instance, the semantic model logs for quickly understanding and diving into rich history around the performance of your queries or operations within your Fabric environment. So in this case, you can information on the operations, including the detailed operation name, the executing user, XMLA properties, query text, and other information to understand how your queries are performing, how expensive particular refresh or throughput was, what are the patterns in the DAX query, and going into more details around performance tuning and troubleshooting your Fabric operations. You can also, within this exact same experience, go into understanding and looking into Event House query logs, which provides information around queries on top of an event house. The ability to consistently access monitoring data across the various Fabric workloads is a key advantage with workspace monitoring, and as we incrementally support these workloads, you will be able to trace an operation across the data stack, or dig into the upstream or downstream operations as you root cause a problem. In addition to ad hoc queries, you can save these queries as custom query sets, copy queries to share with someone else, as well as build Power BI reports directly using the Power BI connector within your Event House experience. Or if you're interested, you can actually build a lot of rich information on top of the data we provide through the logs to get information around execution metrics, user activities, execution details, command refresh table statistics, and granular information around refresh details and query information. Further, you can build real-time analytics dashboards on top of the logs and easily be able to understand in real time the changes flowing through in terms of operations across your Fabric environment. Further, with the current integration of real-time dashboards with Data Activator, you can build triggers for alerting based on your custom scenarios, e.g., semantic model query duration, using Data Activator inside your Fabric item. Finally, you can save a lot of your queries and query sets and run them on an operational basis or recurring basis if you need to go back to understanding those queries and the underlying details here. All in all, Fabric Workspace Monitoring helps you get access to these detailed logs easily from within your workspace without the need to provision a different resource or go into a different experience for accessing this rich information. Thank you.
So you saw how easy it was to actually create a monitoring database within your workspace. I'll cover a bit on the roadmap for what we are doing to expanding this capability further as we build on top of it. But in addition to the database, we are also announced template reports that you can use on top of the database that you can easily configure on once you have created the database in your workspace with some pre-cooked insights and visualizations that we feel are important for you to know, and some of the common patterns that we see that users would want to get understanding of. Right. So the template report is already available on GitHub. You can go ahead and download it and configure it on top of a monitoring database. I also want to give a quick demo for the two reports available. You can use based on your choice. If you want to use a Power BI report, which is purpose-built for very deeper, granular visualizations and insights, or if you want to use real-time dashboard for more real-time monitoring and real-time scenarios overall. So let's get started with the Power BI template report that's available. A quick demo there.
Fabric Workspace Monitoring enables easy access to detailed diagnostic logs in your workspace. We built a Power BI template for you to get the most out of the provided data. The landing page provides an overview about usage trends, CPU consumption memory usage by item, by source application, and operation log trends from last 30 days. Currently, semantic models and Event House database logs are available in the Power BI template. The key characteristics of the specific workloads help you to understand better what kind of operations are running on a daily basis in your workspace. The Semantic Models report page provides you consolidated view of every semantic model within your workspace. You can track key diagnostic metrics over time, and the logs are categorized by query dialects like DAX or MDX. The pivot tables help you to answer questions like which item has had the highest CPU or memory usage in last few days, or which semantic model has exhausted your fabric capacity memory limit. For semantic models with enabled scale-out with large audiences, we have also added the replica ID. The predefined hierarchy levels helps you to find the root cause in a troubleshooting scenario. On operation level, you can open the query diagnostic page. Within seconds, you can see all the key insights for a query or background operation. Whenever the query has been executed in Power BI, you will see the originated report ID and visual ID, but also the entire query text. The user's report page provides you information about the most active semantic model users. Semantic model executions is another consolidated view, which provides you insights about queries, failed operations, refresh operations, and memory consumption in a given time window. The progress heat map visualizes the refresh duration of semantic models by day and hour. For example, you can choose the row processed qualifier and select a semantic model to identify the longest refresh period. Let's break down this day to see which table and partition in the semantic model took the longest refresh time. On the Direct Query report page, we have prepared trend statistics and a pivot table to help you monitor semantic models with different connection modes. You can also deep dive and investigate which semantic model returned the most rows via direct query or which query took the longest iteration time to retrieve the data into the report. Using built-in machine learning, AI-driven visualizations, and Copilot for Power BI, our report template helps you find amazing insights based on the Fabric Workspace monitoring feature. If Copilot for Power BI is enabled in your organization, you can ask in natural language about different diagnostic scenarios. We have prepared some helpful questions like, which semantic models cause high CPU usage, for you to copy from the list and use in Copilot. We welcome your feedback. The templates are available in the Fabric Toolbox GitHub repository.
Great. So that's the Power BI report template. Now, a similar report template is available for real-time dashboard as well. So a quick demo there. It's exact same information that we pull, but in this case, we're making it easy for you to choose between a Power BI report or a real-time dashboard based on your requirements. So a quick demo for real-time dashboard.
Fabric Workspace monitoring enables easy access to detailed event and metrics logs in your workspace. We built a real-time dashboard template for you to get the most out of the provided data, offering advanced troubleshooting capabilities. The template allows you to centrally monitor all the semantic models and event house items created in different workspaces. In this demo, we will deep dive on how to monitor your event houses. The event houses homepage provide the key event house query and ingestions metrics. You can easily track the number of succeeded and failed queries, which applications are running the queries, and the most active databases and users. You can see how much data was ingested into your event house by both batch and streaming ingestions. You can drill down to the most highly ingested databases and tables. You can review the average streaming and batch ingestion times over time and see if how batch ingestions failures occurred. The Event House Queries page allows you to troubleshoot performance issues. You can review if there is an increase in cache hit misses percentage resulting in increased query durations. The Queries page allows you to identify the queries that consumed the most CPU seconds, where the longest running queries access the largest amount of cold storage data or consumed the most memory. Per each query, you can identify which user and application ran the query and review its key performance statistics. From the Table Ingestions page, you can deep dive to a selected table's ingestions. Per each table, you can view its batch and streaming ingestions, or if there is an update policy ingesting data to the table. Batch ingestions can be monitored, reviewing if there are any ingestion failures, or deep diving into the specific batch policy defined on the table. We welcome your feedback. The real-time dashboard template is available in the Fabric Toolbox GitHub repository.
All right, so what's next? In terms of workload support, We currently support 4 workloads: semantic model, real-time intelligence, event house operations for understanding ingestion delays, metrics overall, data engineering, API for GraphQL, and mirror database table execution. More workloads will continue to get onboarded into this feature, including some of the ones that I've heard from customers before, including Data Factory pipeline logs, Airflow logs, Spark logs, etc. Right? Our plan is to support all workloads, all Fabric workloads, as we incrementally add capabilities to this feature. The overall, in terms of features, with as part of this capability, the first part, the template report, is already out. We are going to bring in additional workloads as part of that template report, so that you have an easy way in which you can monitor across different workloads on a single monitoring template. Cross workspace monitoring. Currently, the workspace monitoring is tied to one database per workspace. Now, we want to make sure that you have the ability to monitor across workspace. In many cases, your data project can span across workspaces. You have CI/CD requirements. It can even span multiple capacities, right? So you do need a way in which you can surface the logs from all of these different items sitting across workspaces in a single database for you to be able to effectively understand end to end what's happening across the data project. So cross workspace monitoring is aimed to address that, both in terms of scalability for you to be able to access the monitoring across your capacity or tenant, as well as give you, as a data owner or project owner, this end-to-end visibility that you can use. It's a high priority item that we are working on, and stay tuned for more updates on this. Mirroring data to OneLake. Currently, the database is read-only because Microsoft wants to maintain the integrity of the schema of the data tables that we publish. So it's read-only for all users of Fabric. But we are also working on adding some of these control capabilities, like mirroring data or making data active in OneLake if you want to query using SQL, even expanding retention to beyond the 30-day default retention that we currently offer. The plan is to make sure that you have the ability to configure retention for as long as you want, which Event House, a typical Event House, supports. More cost optimizations coming soon. This feature is currently not charged in a preview. We're going to announce billing soon, and the expectation is it's going to consume Fabric capacity like any other Fabric workload that you may have. So we'll continue to work on backend cost optimizations to make it easier and cheaper for you to be able to access monitoring capabilities in Fabric, including kind of the clusters, underlying clusters for Kusto, as well as some of the optimization that we want to do on the backend. From a consumption standpoint, the template reports are already available. We also want to make sure that you have pre-built queries. Some of those queries are already available as sample queries and on GitHub that you can look into for quickly accelerating your query journey. But we are also looking to enable it more easily for you to access query sets for most common patterns of troubleshooting that we see. So you don't have to build those complex Kusto queries yourself. We offer it for you out of the box as well. And then data activator alerts, you can always create a data activator on top of the real-time dashboard or on top of the event house. We also want to offer some templates in terms of the conditions and logic that you want to specify to be able to get notified. For instance, if you want to get notified around certain queries taking longer than usual or certain anomalies that get detected, you should be able to build a user out of the box alert templates for you to be able to do that. A lot more is in motion as part of workspace monitoring. Our plan is to make sure that you have this monitoring experience as part of your Fabric product and Fabric platform without the need to provision a different resource, going to a different tool or different system for accessing this information. So with that, you can always look into the documentation for workspace monitoring and document all of the tables that we publish as part of this capability. The schemas are documented. You can look into understanding what those are and the scenarios that they target. I do encourage you to look into the documentation as well as the blog post that has more details around both from a developer perspective, but also from an admin perspective, what you can use or what controls you have to be able to manage costs from monitoring workload itself, including for capacity admins, for instance. there's a way in which a capacity admin can see which workspaces have monitoring enabled in the capacity that they are managing, and be able to take actions, right? For example, if it's impacting capacity, you can look into reach out to the workspace owners and either pause logging or basically delete the monitoring database altogether. So you do have a lot more control plane operations that you can do to be able to manage cost and also respond to the needs that you have based on your monitoring requirements overall. That's all for the presentation for me. You can always connect with me at varunjan@microsoft.com. Always looking to hear feedback and also validate some of the design assumptions that we have as we build on monitoring capabilities. And I do encourage you to stay online. I'll be here to answer any live Q&A questions as well. Looking forward to looking forward to getting your questions and answering them as we go along. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for the time. Really appreciate it.